Welcome everyone, Adam the Woo here. As the recording of this, it is Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. I am heading over to my parents' house, St. Cloud, Florida. Going from Celebration to St. Cloud. Gonna be catching up with them, having some dinner. I will not be in town for Thanksgiving, the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday, but I will be back for Christmas to spend with family. So this is pre-Thanksgiving get-together with my mom and dad before I head to a next international destination in just a few days, give or take a day. Highway 192 traffic was a little thick. I thought, I'll take some back roads over towards downtown Kissimmee before going into St. Cloud. And then I realized as I passed this right here that this has a significance to me when it comes to this YouTube channel and my original channel, the Adam the Woo channel, and this, the Daily Woo. And I'll tell you about that momentarily. I'm going to do a couple things in the Kissimmee area before heading down to the Twin Town. They're connected pretty much. They used to not be, but now with, the buildings and houses moving in either direction, they're pretty much, it's pretty difficult to figure out where Kissimmee ends and St. Cloud begins in this day and age in 2025. A lot has changed since myself and my family moved here in 1991. I'm inviting you to join me. It's good to have you here. Shall you? Many, many, many years ago, I had a tripod, and I think I had my first DSLR camera, Canon DSLR that I used to use to film videos. Way back in the day, before I even started the second channel, my daily vlog channel, and the Daily Woo, and I was still doing the main channel, the Adam the Woo channel. And I set a tripod up. I'm trying to remember this. In fact, I didn't even plan on doing this. I was just driving down that road. I go, oh, this overpass rings a bell. So I figured I'd pull over here and do the intro. But I set the tripod up over here. This is before they put this fence in here and this concrete wall. You could just walk over the tracks and go right up on the side of there. And I set the tripod up on the camera, put the timer on, and took a couple photos that I thought were kind of artistic photos. And then I did some post-production changing of the colors and things and all that. And that became like the little icon, the Adam the Woo icon, that if you go on this channel and the main channel, they're both exactly the same. It's like me with the sunglasses on. I think I even had an Adam the Woo shirt and I had a little blazer over the top of it. It's kind of hard to tell what I was wearing, but it was right here. Set the tripod up, was standing over there next to that. And I have not changed either one of those since I originally uploaded them as the channel icon. In fact, the main channel was without a number on it. And then the second channel, this one that I'm watching now, which became my vlog channel, which is pretty much my main channel now, I just put the number 2 in the corner. So I don't know if anyone's ever noticed this, but there is me. There's like the little artistic rendering of me. And then below it, in either corner, there's like a 2. And that was supposed to represent my second channel. Anyway, I took the photo right here for anyone that cares. The unusual thing is I haven't even thought about that in decades. At least a decade. Well, probably a decade. Been 15, 16 years ago or more, and I haven't even had it, tinkering around in the noggin in probably at least 10 years that this spot even exists till I pass by it. But funny how things can jar your memory when you're just, driving down a road you haven't been down in a while. It is really interesting how time just marches on. You look back on the place you were at that particular time, and me not knowing what would ever happen with this channel kind of blossoming into what it is, and if anyone would even watch my little wacky videos of me going around and filming things, pointing the camera at stuff, and stating the obvious is what I always say my job description is. Like this uprooted tree here, with the root system tapering off. That's like a piece of art in its own way. I think I'm gonna go by the Lakefront, just next to downtown Kissimmee, on my way to St. Cloud. I have no real plan. Just meeting up with my parents for some dinner, catching up with them. I always like to see them about once a week. Whenever I'm in town, I try to go down there once a week and see them. or at least meet them somewhere or go down there and see what they've been up to. You know, now that I'm looking at it, now it is kind of refreshing my memory a little bit. I was wearing a Joey Ramone shirt with a little blazer over the top of it, with the pocketed blazer. It was a Joey Ramone shirt. That's what it was. Wow. Totally forgot about it. That I even owned that shirt at one time. It was right there. That's where it was. I obviously blurred out the back and made it kind of a cartoony version, but that's where it was, right there. I mean, you would never be able to figure out that's where that was, unless, you know, I remember that that's where it was. No one would ever be able to match that up, but there's a lot of post-production on this photo. I don't even remember how I even came about that. I think when I had my original t-shirts made, Lucky Number 17 made my original t-shirts, they took that photo and converted it for me and made it that way. Because very rarely do I do really anything kind of like this style anymore, but I just went with it. Back when I used to wear those glasses. Probably need an updated photo, but I'll probably never take one. This is a place I haven't stopped off in a while. I have been here before. I like the underpass that I rarely, if never, have been by since I took that photo. But I have been by the Monument Estates, but it's been a while. It's been a few years. Looks like they're doing some sort of construction over here. Oh, I stand corrected. They're not doing construction. What they are, they put these little stanchions up around it. These little City of Kissimmee, established 1883. There's a squirrel down there also. Little barricades. Because they put the Christmas lights up. Christmas season, beginning to look a lot like Christmas, with Thanksgiving approaching and then Christmas soon after. This was built in 1943, a couple years after Pearl Harbor, and that was the reason they did this. It was after the events of Pearl Harbor. They wanted to make a monument of states. And I believe the 48 are on here. No Hawaii, no Alaska yet, because they were not states yet, but I think all the other ones are on here. And each state has either sent some sort of a rock or a memento from that particular place. Oh, look at this. There's a piece of coral right there from the Gulf of Mexico. There's a piece of coral from Key West. And this kind of applies because after I do my international trip for a month, come back for a week or two, a week before Christmas and then a week after that, I'll be setting off once the new year hits for 2026 and doing nothing but U.S. road trips. 2026 is going to be dedicated to the United States of America, back roads, small towns, highways, byways, all the states, roads I haven't traveled on, towns I haven't been to. Now, I have been to all 50 states. Some states I've spent more time in than others. Some states I've just only kind of passed through briefly, but I have been to all 50. But next year, I'm gonna really get into it. Well, I said 43, but this says 41, so evidently they started putting it together in 41, and then they completed it in 43. There it is, March 19th, 1943. Pronounced Victory Walk. That was one of the original little carvings. Then they also put this one a little bit later. Finished March 19th, 1943. And take a look at this. You got Maine there. That says human foot. Right there, that says human foot. That's not a state. Ohio. So there's a couple different Ohio's. There's Ohio there. There's an Ohio there. There's even some countries in here. There's France. Right there, that rock is from France. Even got a Canadian rock right there. This human shoe from J.W. Weddell in Illinois. So it's not all just states. It's like, here's a human skull. That says human skull by O.E. Weddell. Right there in the middle, the blue, the light blue, center of the screen says human skull, quote unquote. It's just a rock, but evidently it's supposed to resemble a human skull, so. Amazing. Oh, and you look all the way at the top, underneath the flag, it says First Christian Church. And this has no sort of indication on what that is, just a bunch of random rocks. You got Spain right there. You got Spain. I really love this piece. This chunk of something here that's obviously been concreted over was presented by the city of Kissimmee from Burbank, California, Walt Disney Studios in Burbank. Right there near Griffith Park. In Burbank. Look at the date on that. January 21st, 1966. That seems as if it would have been something that Walt himself would have sent over. Because Walt would have still been alive on January 21st of 1966. That's interesting. I have seen this before. I forgot it was over here, and I just noticed it's like on this side of it. Yeah, January of 66. Mr. Disney himself could have said, send that over there. I like that idea. I'm paraphrasing. He might not have said that at all, but in my mind, I think he did. Flint Rock, Ohio. 41 there. Got Massachusetts, also stamped 41. Yeah, they're all pretty much stamped 41, 1941. One from Kansas. And evidently, I'm just going to guess the names of the people who sent them in, like Alfred M. Landon, a resident of Kansas. Look at this up here. There's a bull carved in there, a rock bull. Lots of coral, though. I'm noticing a lot of coral. Really tough to see the ones all the way at top. This thing is tall. Here's one from the deserts of Africa. Indiana, the governor at that time was Henry F. Schricker. Henry F. Schricker. All right, prepare yourself for a little knowledge when it comes to me attempting to read this thing quickly. But there is a placard here on what the Monument of the States are. Now take a look here. Here are them working on building it. The Monument of the States was the brainchild of Dr. Charles Bresser Pettis. The Monument of the States was dedicated on March 28th of 1943. That answers that. It was 43. He felt it was a fitting tribute to the winter visitors who came into the community from each of then the 48 states. Again, Hawaii and Alaska were not states yet. Work began in the fall of 41. That explains all the 41s written on there. The residents donated more than 500 bags of cement for the project. In the form of a regular step pyramid, 21 varying tiers. Bottom tier is 16 feet, top tier 2.5 feet square. So it starts off wide, goes up to the top. President FDR contributed a stone from his Hyde Park estate in the Hudson. I got to find that. The monument has a base of 22 square feet and 50 feet tall. 50 feet tall. Look at all these people at the dedication. Never seen that photo before. I've never taken the time to look at this. I mean, I've been by the Monument of States. I think I've even shown it in videos before, but I've never noticed this photo here with everyone doing the ribbon cutting and doing the official kickoff of its completion. Solid concrete American bald eagle weighing 562 pounds with a 6-foot wingspan sits at the top. 500-pound eagle up there. That's no joke. That's a heavy eagle. I would not have guessed a 500-pound eagle. Dr. Pettis passed away in May of '54. The commissioners here in town passed an ordinance allowing his remains. What? His remains are buried in the monument. Oh no. They suggested that that would be allowed. They passed an ordinance allowing it. Although the gesture was greatly appreciated by the missus, she chose to have them interned in Grant, Missouri. So he is not buried inside. Interesting. Became on the National Register of Historic Places back in October of 2015. Wow. It's only been on the National Registry of Historic Places for 10 years. I started doing videos on this channel and probably filmed this originally when I was starting doing videos. Before it was on the National Register, I had no idea that it was not on the National Register at that time. The lights just turned on. They just turned the twinkling lights on. I don't know, fun facts right there. That's pretty cool. Wonder if one of these guys here is Dr. Charles. Wonder if that's him. This thing really is incredible. It just really is a sight to behold. Very fascinating. I gotta find that FDR rock. Okay, there's also this other plaque in honor of Dr. Bessler. Dr. C.W. Bressler Pettis. He was the president of All States Tourist Club. The All States Tourist Club. Is that even still a thing? Not just for each individual state, but for all the states. Getting really excited about seeing all this stuff. This is really, really neat. Again, in the past, I've kind of just glanced over it. But now that I'm taking the time to read all this stuff, really interesting. That is a Massachusetts lighter from Cape Cod. Look at that right there. There you go. There's the good old US of A right there. Etched in there. Celebrating 250 years starting next year. You can always tell when someone isn't a local when they pronounce Kissimmee, Kissimmee. But it is also an interesting footnote that it's spelled the way the tourists, the people who aren't from Kissimmee area, say it. It is spelled in the way Kiss-me. I'm having a little trouble. It's taking some time finding the FDR stone. I don't think it's on the visible eye level section. I think it might be way up top near the eagle, which are very difficult to see because some of them are obscured from the ground up. I'm gonna guess it's probably a little higher up than it is from where I'm standing now. This little roundabout is a popular spot. Very popular. Standing right in the middle of the roundabout. It's tough to see it, but up there towards that 500-pound eagle, just below it, the sign says, Tourist Paradise. I see Harvard Medical School up there. But really some really fascinating places that sent rocks. Again, not just the states. There's that squirrel. How you doing, squirrel? Would have been interesting if he would have had his remains laid to rest here. Gotta wonder if that's what he would have wanted. This was his You know, this was his creation, something he worked really hard on. Probably better to be with family though than something like this. Look at that. Looks like it's like a bullhead with the horns. One of the horns is chipped off. Just think of the years on this thing. Atlantic Coast Railroad line. Back in 1940, the Delaware governor, his name was Bacon. I hear a train. Right by the tracks. Now, if you donated some cement, you would have your name on the list of those who donated for the cement back in December of 41, all along here. All those names, most likely all Osceola County, Kissimmee, prominent Kissimmee residents. Also got to imagine, these were not inscribed by the individual people. There's one person that went down. See, the handwriting is all the same. So you go back to 43 when this was completed. Someone got down in there when it was drying and etched across all of these names as it was drying. They had to be very quick because it goes all the way up. They couldn't misspell anything. And that really, that's something. Here's Mayor Ellis. Like North Dakota in 42, the governor's last name was Moses. There's an "In God We Trust" cross right there. I learned a lot of history just by reading all these names. Missouri sent these zinc and lead. Those two rocks right in the middle there. Zinc and lead. Colorado didn't want to send a rock, so they just brought a piece of petrified wood, which is pretty much a rock. Yeah, the lakefront down here is really nice. It's been a while since I strolled along the lake shore of Lake Toho, Lake Tohopekalaika. There's one in St. Cloud, there's one in Kissimmee. There's two Lake Tohos. I think one's East Lake and one's regular Lake Toho. I could be wrong on that, but I know there's two Lake Tohos. I can't remember what they're each titled. Don't swim or wade. No wading, no swimming. Lots of gators and snakes in this area. A lot of these little birds too down here. See them down in there? It's kind of tough to see. They're kind of disguised. Camouflage, that's the word I'm looking for. There's a bunch of them. You can kind of see them. They're really tough to see, but they're in there. They're a bunch of birds. And the very famous lighthouse over there on that little walkway out, the Kissimmee walkway out the lakefront. There's a nice little lighthouse there. 2008, there was a movie filmed here with Bill Engvall and Billy Ray Cyrus, I believe it was. Yeah, Billy Ray Cyrus. 2008-ish, called Bait Shop. And right over there somewhere is where they built the bait shop for the movie. Right there where that person is riding the bike, right over in that section. Since removed. The whole landscape of the Kissimmee lakefront since 2008 has changed. But yeah, Billy Ray Cyrus. is right here. Think about that. Let that sink in. This is a road I haven't been down in a while. Neptune Road runs parallel to Highway 192. A little less busy, but over the years it's gotten to be a little more well known. But Neptune Road, heading from Kissimmee into St. Cloud. Honestly, this kind of looks like a mess through here with all the road construction down Neptune. It's been a while. I'll give it a try. All part of the experience. It feels like they've widened it. I think it was always 2 lanes, 1 lane on each side, but now it's a 4 lane. And now they're trying to widen this to a 4 lane. The people that live right there probably not too keen on all this construction, and the cars constantly stopped right here. I will say, however, a long time ago, there used to be a road. See where that piece of heavy machinery is up there? There used to be a road that used to run in front of this house that I just showed, and it would dump off here. And they fixed that problem over time because this road Neptune got so busy. It's probably 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago they blocked that road off. But that road, kind of where that car that's approaching me now is, used to be a road that dumped onto Neptune. And that is the filming location from the crash scene in the movie Monster, starring Charlize Theron and Christina Ricci. That's where they got in the car wreck, right up there. Just a completely random filming location fact. Great movie, filmed in Central Florida. Yeah, I'm just sitting here waiting patiently. Yeah, the last few miles of Neptune Road is a complete mess, but they are definitely widening it. It's a little bit of a mess, but in the future it'll be nice. Gonna stop off at Goodwill, which is located in this plaza before heading over to my parents. But over there, it used to be a Blockbuster Video on that corner. There was a Value Pawn. There's Wendy's, the Publix I used to work at, which is now a gym, was on the other side of this. But I remember that Blockbuster Video back in the day. Then it was a Value Pawn. Now it's nothing over there. Also, there used to be a comedy place here that just closed. Back when myself and my family moved to St. Cloud back in 1991, this used to be the Walmart, and then a year later, they moved across the street. Well, a year or two later, I think around 93 or 94. And then I got hired here at this Walmart and worked over at the Walmart across the street that's now the Supercenter. Now it's a Dollar Tree, Tractor Supply, and a Goodwill. But the comedy place was like a barbecue place mixed with a comedy place. And it was located right here. And that comedy place, I can't remember what it was called, but I had barbecue there a couple times. But then they had the barbecue here, and then they had comedy right in there. I don't remember how many acts were in there. I think the guy that did all the voices from Police Academy, the guy that did all the voices, he performed there. I remember he was there. And then the guy that played Screech in Saved by the Bell, who passed away a few years ago, I remember he performed there. Never saw a comedy show there, but evidently it did not work out because it's closed. Every time I pop through St. Cloud, something's changed. See what I can find inside the Goodwill. I don't know if this works, but there is a VCR here. I don't know what the difference between a video conversion system and a VCR is, but I do need a VCR. Maybe I should try to get that. Take a look at these frames. They're like almost like snow globes and frames right here. And then also, here's a fish frame, like the fish frame right there. But I've never seen anything quite like this. These are like kind of retro. I don't think they've made these in many years, but take a look at that. I'm gonna have to look this up. If this is a regular VCR for $20, I might take a chance on it. I could use one for my corridor goons. All right, turns out that was just a converter. It converts from VCR VHS, and you could digitize to your computer, which is kind of neat, but I don't really have a need for it. Oh, they still have the little outdoor thing when this was the comedy shop. I feel like $19.99 was a pretty good deal for that, but I have no use for it. This sheds a little more light on the name of the place. Jimmy Bears. Well, maybe it is. No, I don't think it's open. It says closed for private event. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. Yeah, it's definitely empty in there. Jimmy Bears, at least in this location, is no more. They could have moved. Originally, I think they were closer to downtown St. Cloud, and they moved over here, so maybe they moved back over that way. All right, spent a little time over at my parents' house. Now back up towards downtown Kissimmee. Waiting at the light here on Main Street and 192 Vine Street. The archway leading into downtown Kissimmee is all illuminated with Christmas lights. Yeah, my mom made some soup and salad. Went through some old family photos. Just had a good time with my mom and dad. Just waiting for the light here on Orange Blossom Trail, also known as Main Street. 192. Made it back home. I call it a night. It was a good day. Leaving town in a few days, give or take a day. Which means I might have to pull down my Thanksgiving decor at some point in the next day or two. And then when I return, Christmas stuff goes up. That's going to do it for today. I'll see you in the next video. The vlog is over.